Problem with speaking in like 4chan, Telegram, Gab, meme speak is if people are not familiar with the memes, they probably think you're a crazy person. Imagine that meme of Cecil hates the Antichrist and sleeps with an AR. It's like if you've never seen that meme, you're just like, what the hell are you talking about? You got to get on Telegram and Gab and all these alt platforms. It's kind of where it feels the energy is behind it. Like I go on Twitter once a week, and then I go back to Telegram and Gab. It's like, oh, these people are on completely different pages. Twitter is just sucking down blue pills as hard as possible, and Gab is like you get a Gab, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so based in red pill. These people are so conservative, and you get on Telegram, it's like, oh, this is what happens when you break through the matrix. It's Telegram. It's just like red pills in every orifice kind of thing. Anyway, so maybe Cecil can do a video on this. I'm sure he'd do a better job. But here's the thing. Because I was listening to Yellow Flash, Ethan, and Cecil for 10 minutes before the dog walk the other night. And they were talking about this, and I was hearing Cecil talk about this. Yellow Flash and Ethan are getting close. Cecil 100% knows what's up, but he was kind of keeping the brakes. And like if he hears this, he knows that I know what he knows what we're all both talking about. It's like he has his foot on the brakes because he wants to stay in the real world. He worked in finance. He absolutely knows what's up. He's not going to talk about it because he either is already back in the real world of finance or he wants to go back to it. So is this concept of a golden cage has a lot of people. It's like is why you got to give credit to Ethan for being as spicy as he is. Because, yeah, he's got his comic property, but he's also probably looking to, I don't know, cartoons and animation and movies and stuff like that. And, things on a much, much bigger scale. So it's like, he is spicy. He is legitimately funny, where if I was in his position, I don't know if I'd be as brave as him saying some of the things I said. Because, he's looking towards a potential much, much bigger payoff if he can keep the cyber frog out in the public sphere, and a bigger company will take a look at it. There's another order of magnitude of money behind that. So he is being I'm surprised he is as funny and edgy and red pilled as he is when he's got this kind of play and balance. Okay, so I'm sure Cecil could probably do a better video on this very carefully, walking naked through landmines. Imagine a publicly traded company. Stocks, ownership interest, they're sold in groups to, funds or as individuals, individual types. You got two scenarios. A company makes films. They've got to have a return on investment. Films have to be good enough to make some money and either raise share value or pay dividends or whatever. You got to make something that people want, and usually that equates to a good movie to get people to exchange money for your product. But what if they didn't have to give people what they wanted? Imagine a financial and government system that pushed rules on companies and investors to reward companies that were woke. What if they could actually raise share value while simultaneously producing a poor product? You could get woke and not go broke, at least not for a while until the system collapses in on itself, which might be years or decades away before you've got, some kind of Enron level event. What if they actually didn't care about the money or the company or the employees or the shareholders? What could you do with a nation or a company that only cared about propaganda? If you were these people who were able to move through companies and places, but you weren't tied down to the finances of it, well, you could do anything you wanted. If the money really didn't matter because you knew that after the company imploded, you would get a lateral transfer somewhere else, or you were already financially taken care of, or you would be taken care of by someone else. If you had that kind of reassurance, you can make any kind of film you want, which explains why you're seeing a lot of this stuff you're seeing. Even something as big as Disney, which is so big now, they're opening up their own Disney town where you can live. It's going to be for the ultra wealthy. It's going to be a Disney town. It's like, that sounds like a good set for a horror movie, which would kind of be fun. A guy who was in Three's Company actually did a low budget movie about that, about like a town that got kind of weird. So even something as Disney, if you literally didn't care what happened to the employees or shareholders, if you were a sociopathic ideologue who didn't see other people as people, they were just kind of a resource to be used and destroyed. People see globo homogenization, say the full word very carefully, and they see the people pushing it, and it doesn't make sense to them why every commercial is POC good and Europa blonde bad. The local news is saying one thing, especially if you're watching the local, not the national news on social media. If you want to see the state of America, get on YouTube and watch all the local stations. Just pick a city in any one of the various states and sub to those local stations. You watch the news. It's like, that tells you the state of the nation. If you watch the national news, it tells you that some Karen in the park said the N-word. And that's like the national news. Like, no, the national news is completely pointless. Go like sub to Miami, St. Louis, Chicago, Oakland, anywhere in any major city in America. Sub to those YouTube channel news affiliates and watch those for a couple of weeks. You see what's going on. Anyway, so these people see the real world, and at least for now, until eventually they're going to have to censor that kind of stuff. But the shows, the movies, commercials are saying something else. Why are they dehumanizing one group of people and elevating another? What are these tricksy, slippery, slimy little puppet masters up to? Well, that's a good question, and it's one that I'm not going to answer here. You see a lot of woke, anti-blonde type of, or red hair erasure type of things in movies, and obviously you see a lot of misandry, but the movies aren't catching on just yet. Brainwashing takes time, but the propaganda is slowly working. People love Spider-Man, where every character was swapped out. It had the name Spider-Man, but the characters were replaced with African or Asian, various types of Asian actors, a digital genocide. But the brainwashing is already taking hold, and people love the show. Not brainwashed. It was just a really good movie. Who cares if it swapped out the characters and still had the name Spider-Man? Yeah, that's how brainwashing works. It's in incremental replacement of characters. But to be fair, Hollywood has had more bombs than hits, especially in the past 10 years. But it's as if Hollywood has an inexhaustible supply of money. As far as the paper has value, as far as the concept of money has value, these people have an inexhaustible supply of it, because essentially what it comes down to, they're using your money, or at least your resources, which translates into money. Let's just print more. Yeah, that's great. You're robbing the future generations to accomplish propaganda now. Something more USD has been printed in the past 2 years under Biden than has ever existed in history. Movies are we're gonna, oh God, hearing Biden quotes, he goes like, yeah, a responsible company pays its debts down by printing more money. Okay. And it was that Paul Kruger guy, the economist who made all kinds of exactly wrong predictions about Trump. It's like, yeah, this is just exactly what we need to do. It's like, oh, dear Lord. Anyway, so movies are propaganda. They will subsidize movies to spread propaganda. No, it's not crazy talk. Explain Ghostbusters 2016, Star Wars, Charlie's Angels, Terminator, X-Men, the recent ones, Snake Eyes, Black Widow, Shang-Chi. They knew those movies in streams, and there's a ton of other streams on the various streaming platforms that are just, Batwoman, and there's so many you can't even keep track of them, and they're all this kind of crap, though. So we'll see, she looks pretty good in that. They know this stuff is going to underperform, and some are actually bombing. They're not dumb. So why did they deliberately make films that they knew would bomb? If you're in this business to make money, you would give the cattle what they want. Money is not their primary motive, and hearing people say it is drives me crazy. It's like there are objective pieces of evidence that say money is not their primary motive. If money was their primary motive, they'd have a bunch of hot blonde chicks, with big boobs running around just looking hot and sexy. It's like, It's a guaranteed $100 million right there, and all other things being equal. Like if you had any other film, if you had Black Widow, but you had, what's her name? Scarlett Johansson looking like she did, boobs hanging out 10 years ago, that movie would have made another $100 million. Money is not the primary motive. Propaganda is. These people aren't human. They might be crab people who live in subterranean caverns. South Park tried to warn us, but we didn't listen. Even the Mary Sue wanted to shut South Park down. Why? Because they're also crab people. Tinfoil hat? No. Use that tinfoil to build a Faraday cell phone cage. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.